Every single day, whether we realize it or not, we are talking to ourselves. Thoughts arise, conclusions form, and little by little, those words we speak internally begin to shape the reality we live in. And the thing is, if we don't take control of that inner dialogue, something else will. The world will fill that space for us with doubts, with fear, with reminders of everything we're lacking, of every past failure, every shortcoming. That's why it is absolutely crucial to be deliberate about the things we tell ourselves, to set the tone, to consciously decide what we will affirm about our own lives before the world does it for us. Now, it might seem like a small thing, standing in front of a mirror saying, I am strong, I am capable, I'm going to make today count. But it's not small, because words have power. And the words you say to yourself hold more power than any words spoken by others. They plant seeds, they create a framework, and over time, whether you realize it or not, they shape the way you see yourself and the way you act in the world. Think about this. If you tell yourself every single day that you're not good enough, that you're a failure, that life is just unfair and always will be, what happens? You start believing it. You start making choices based on that belief. You hesitate, you hold back, you reinforce the idea that you're powerless, that nothing can change. And soon that belief isn't just a thought, it's your reality. Not because it was true, but because you made it true through repetition, through action or inaction. But now imagine the opposite. Imagine waking up every day and telling yourself, I am disciplined, I am capable, I am moving forward no matter what happens today. Say it enough times, and suddenly, when challenges arise, you don't shrink away, you step up, you start seeing possibilities where before there were only obstacles. And it's not some empty feel-good trick, it's a rewiring of your mind, a restructuring of your internal landscape. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's deeply rooted in psychology. The brain is constantly forming neural pathways, strengthening the ones we use most often. The more we tell ourselves something, the more we reinforce it. So if we're constantly reinforcing negativity, self-doubt, and helplessness, that's the default pattern our brain follows. But if we deliberately choose to affirm strength, growth, and resilience, that becomes our default instead. And here's where people get it wrong. They think affirmations are about lying to yourself, about pretending things are better than they are. But that's not the point. You're not ignoring reality. You're shaping how you respond to it. You're programming yourself to be the kind of person who pushes forward instead of giving up, the kind of person who finds solutions instead of dwelling on problems. Let's be clear. This isn't easy. It's not something you do once and suddenly your life is transformed. It's a process. It requires consistency. It requires commitment. But here's the real question. What's the alternative? Letting your thoughts run on autopilot, letting fear and negativity dictate your mindset? That's not an option. Not if you actually want to take control of your life. You have to wake up every morning and set the narrative. Before the world throws its noise at you, before doubt creeps in, before distractions pull you away, you decide what kind of person you are going to be today. And then you reinforce it over and over, because repetition is key. You don't go to the gym once and expect to be strong for life. You don't eat one healthy meal and expect to be fit forever. And you don't speak one positive affirmation and expect your mind to be transformed overnight. It's a practice, a discipline, one that pays off in ways you can't even begin to imagine when you first start. At first it feels unnatural, you might even feel silly. But if you stick with it, something remarkable happens. One day you wake up and you don't have to remind yourself to be confident, you just are. You don't have to tell yourself you're resilient, you prove it through your actions. And when challenges come, instead of being consumed by doubt, you meet them with the certainty that you will find a way forward. So start now. Start today. Decide what you will affirm about yourself, about your life, about your future. Say it, mean it, repeat it until it becomes the foundation on which everything else is built. Because if you don't shape your own mind, something else will. And that's a risk you can't afford to take. There's something profoundly dangerous about believing, even for a second, that you are not worthy, that somehow you don't deserve to stand tall, to take up space, to pursue the things that matter to you. Because once you allow that thought in, once you begin to see yourself as small, as incapable, as not enough, you start making choices that reflect that belief. You hesitate when you should step forward. You silence yourself when you should speak. You accept less than you deserve, not because the world decided it for you, but because you decided it for yourself. And that is no way to live. The truth is, self-worth is not something handed to you. It's not something that comes from the approval of others or from achievements or from some external validation that finally tells you, yes, now you matter. No, it's something you claim, something you decide. You get up every day and you act as though you are someone who is worthy, because you are. Not because of what you've accomplished, not because of what you have, but because you exist, because you are a human being with the capacity to think, to create, to grow, to contribute. That alone is enough. But here's where people struggle. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel confident. And so they assume they must wait until they feel ready, wait until they feel like they deserve success, wait until they feel like the kind of person who can take on the world. But that's not how it works. Confidence is not a feeling that magically appears one day. It's a byproduct of action. You move forward first, even when you're unsure. You take risks, even when fear whispers that you might fail. And through that process, through proving to yourself that you are capable, that you can endure, that you can overcome, you build confidence. You don't wait for it, you earn it. And this is crucial because the world will test you. It will push back. It will give you reasons to doubt yourself. People will tell you that you're not good enough, that you should stay in your place, that you shouldn't aim too high. Some will do it out of their own insecurity, others because they simply don't see what you see. But none of that matters, because the moment you base your self-worth on the opinions of others, you give them control over your life. And you cannot afford to do that. So what do? You establish it yourself. You set a standard for how you treat yourself, for how you allow others to treat you. You refuse to entertain thoughts that diminish you. And when you catch yourself slipping into self-doubt, you counter it, not with empty positivity, but with truth. You remind yourself of the things you have overcome, the battles you have fought, the moments where you could have given up but didn't. And if you don't have those moments yet, then you start creating them now, because the more you prove to yourself that you can stand tall, the harder it becomes for doubt to knock you down. And understand this, confidence is not arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing deeply that you are not beneath them, that you have just as much right to pursue your goals, to take up space, to speak with authority, that your existence alone gives you permission to be here, to strive, to reach. But no one can decide that for you. No one can hand it to you. If you do not decide that you are worthy, the world will not do it for you. It will reflect back to you whatever belief you hold about yourself. If you carry yourself as if you are insignificant, people will treat you that way. If you act as though your voice doesn't matter, the world will ignore you, not because it's cruel, but because you set the terms. So set them wisely. Walk into every room knowing you belong there. Speak with the conviction that your words have value. Carry yourself in a way that makes it clear you are not someone who shrinks away. And if it feels unnatural at first, that's fine. Do it anyway. Because eventually it won't feel like an act. It will feel like the truth. Life is difficult. There's no avoiding that. At some point, you will be tested by failure, by loss, by circumstances that seem insurmountable. And in those moments, you will be faced with a choice. Collapse under the weight of it, or stand up and grow stronger. That's it. Those are the only two options. And the decision you make, again and again, in the face of adversity, determines the trajectory of your life. The mistake most people make is thinking that resilience is something you either have or you don't, that some people are just naturally tough, naturally able to endure, while others are not. But that isn't true. Resilience is not a trait, it's a skill. It's something you develop, something you sharpen every single time you refuse to let life break you. And the only way to develop it is to go through hardship, to experience difficulty, to struggle and come out the other side, not as the same person you were before, but as something greater. Growth is painful. It has to be. Because to grow means to change, and change requires breaking something apart, the old version of you, the comfortable patterns, the illusions you held about how easy things should be. And when that happens, when the discomfort sets in, most people retreat. They take it as a sign that they're not meant to go any further, that maybe they should just stay where they are, avoid the risk, avoid the suffering. But that's not resilience. That's surrender. And the problem with surrendering is that you don't just avoid pain, you also avoid progress. You stay the same, stuck in the same patterns with the same fears, the same weaknesses, never truly growing into the person you were meant to be. Resilience is about facing the storm head on. It's about recognizing that every obstacle is an opportunity to test yourself, to sharpen yourself, to prove that you are stronger than the forces trying to hold you down. And that's not just a mindset, it's a necessity, because life will not go easy on you. It will throw challenges in your path, sometimes one after another. And if you don't develop the ability to push forward despite them, you will be left at the mercy of whatever comes next. So how do you build it? You start by refusing to let struggle define you. You stop seeing difficulty as a curse and start seeing it as a training ground. Every challenge, every setback, every failure is a lesson. It's something that forces you to adapt, to think differently, to become more than you were before. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you stop being afraid of hardship, because you know deep down that every difficulty is making you stronger. And here's the truth. People who have been through real hardship, who have struggled and endured and come out on the other side, they carry something with them that others don't. A quiet strength, a depth of character, a certain unshakable presence that can only be earned through experience. These are the people you want to be around, the ones who inspire others, the ones who don't flinch when things go wrong because they've already been through worse. That is what resilience gives you. It gives you certainty in an uncertain world. But it's not just about surviving, it's about growing. Because resilience without growth is just endurance. And endurance alone is not enough. You can survive a storm, but if you don't come out of it wiser, stronger, more capable, then all you did was withstand it. And that's not the goal. The goal is to emerge from hardship as a transformed person, as someone who doesn't just endure life's difficulties, but learns from them, adapts, and becomes more because of them. That's why you cannot avoid discomfort, you cannot avoid failure. If you want to grow, you must seek challenges. You must put yourself in situations that force you to stretch beyond what is easy. Because only through challenge do you find out what you're truly capable of. Only through difficulty do you uncover the depth of your own strength. And once you've seen that, once you've proven to yourself that you can overcome the worst of it, you move through life differently. Not afraid, not hesitant, but with a quiet, unwavering confidence that no matter what happens, you will find a way through. And that is the kind of strength no one can take from you, because it was earned, because it was built in the fire of adversity, because you faced the storm, and instead of breaking, you became something greater. It's easy to wake up in the morning and immediately focus on what's wrong, the things that aren't working, the problems waiting for you, the weight of everything you don't have. That kind of thinking happens automatically. It doesn't take effort. The mind is wired to look for threats, for things to fix, for what's missing. But if you live your life that way, always chasing what's wrong, always focusing on what's lacking, you end up blind to everything that's right. And that is no way to live. Gratitude is not about pretending that everything is perfect. It's not about ignoring the difficulties of life. It's about choosing to recognize what is good, even in the middle of struggle. It's about understanding that no matter how bad things seem, there is always something to be thankful for. But gratitude isn't just some abstract virtue, it's practical. It changes the way you experience reality. Because what you focus on expands. If you fixate on what's missing, what's unfair, what's broken, that's all you'll see. But if you train yourself to notice what is good, what is working, what you have instead of what you lack, suddenly life feels different. The circumstances may be the same, but your experience of them is transformed. And people don't realize how much control they have over this. They assume their emotions are dictated by their circumstances, that happiness is something that comes when life is perfect, when everything is in place, when nothing is wrong, but that moment never comes. There is no perfect time, no moment where all your problems disappear. If you are waiting for that, you will wait forever. Gratitude is the decision to stop waiting. It is the choice to see what is good now, even if it's small. And here's where it becomes powerful. When you shift your focus to gratitude, when you begin to see the good, it doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how you act. A grateful person moves differently through the world. They carry themselves with a certain energy, a certain presence. They aren't weighed down by resentment or self-pity. They don't shrink under the weight of their problems because they see that there is still something to fight for, something worth showing up for. And when you combine gratitude with a genuinely positive mindset, something remarkable happens. You stop seeing challenges as punishments. You stop assuming that struggle is evidence that something is wrong with your life. Instead, you begin to see difficulties as part of the process, as opportunities to grow, as necessary steps on the path forward. And that shift in perspective is everything. Because if you believe that every challenge is an unfair burden, you will resist it. You will avoid it. You will waste your energy complaining instead of adapting. But if you see it as something that can make you stronger, as something you can learn from, then you step forward instead of retreating. That's what a truly positive mindset is. It's not about blind optimism, about pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing to face reality with courage. It's about believing that no matter what happens, you will find a way forward. And that belief is powerful because life will test you. It will give you moments where everything feels like it's falling apart, where it seems impossible to find anything to be grateful for. And in those moments, you have to fight for it. You have to train yourself to look harder, to search for the lesson, to remind yourself that even in the middle of difficulty, there is still something to hold on to. That's what separates those who thrive from those who crumble. It's not that one group faces fewer challenges than the other. It's not that life is easier for some and harder for others. It's that some people have trained themselves to find meaning in their struggles, to look for what is still good, to focus on what they can control instead of what they can't. And that mindset makes all the difference. So every single day, make it a practice. Before the world pulls you in 100 directions, before the noise takes over, take a moment to remind yourself of what is good, of what you have, of what you've overcome. Because if you let the automatic negativity take over, you will spend your life chasing things that don't matter, always feeling like something is missing, always stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction. But if you choose gratitude, if you make the decision again and again to see the good, to find meaning, to move forward with the belief that you are capable, that you are strong, that there is still something worth fighting for, then no matter what happens, you will never be truly defeated because you will always find a way to rise. Every single day you are faced with choices. Some of them seem small, what to focus on, how to spend your time, whether to push forward or retreat, but those choices add up. They define the direction of your life. And if you are not careful, if you move through the world without a clear sense of purpose, those choices will be made for you by circumstances, by distractions, by the expectations of others. And before you know it, years pass and you find yourself somewhere you never intended to be, wondering how you got there. That is the danger of living without a vision. It's not just that you drift, it's that you become lost. And when you're lost, you start looking for quick solutions, for temporary comforts, for anything that makes you feel like you're on solid ground. But none of it lasts. Because the only thing that truly anchors you in this world is knowing with certainty what you are working toward. And that certainty doesn't come from someone else, it comes from you. A life without purpose is a life dictated by impulse. It's waking up each day with no real direction, being pulled in 100 different directions, chasing pleasure, avoiding discomfort, looking for the easiest way through. But ease is not the path to fulfillment. It never has been. If you want a meaningful life, you have to build it. And building something meaningful requires sacrifice. It requires setting a vision for yourself, something difficult, something that stretches you beyond who you are today, and committing to it, even when it's hard, even when the results don't come immediately. But here's where people struggle. They think their purpose has to be some grand, world-changing mission, something that is perfectly clear from the start. But that's not how it works. Purpose is not something you passively discover. It is something you actively create. It starts small. It starts with deciding who you want to become, what kind of life you want to build, and then aligning your daily actions with that vision. And the more you move toward it, the clearer it becomes. The problem is most people never take the time to ask themselves the hard questions. What do I truly want? What kind of impact do I want to have? What am I willing to struggle for? Instead, they get caught in the trap of doing what's expected, following the script that was handed to them, hoping that someday meaning will simply appear. But meaning is not found in passivity. It is found in the pursuit of something that matters. It is found in the decision to take responsibility for your life, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, to start moving forward even if you don't have all the answers. And this is not just about you. When you have a clear vision, when you are living with purpose, it does something powerful, not just for you, but for the people around you. Because purpose is contagious. When people see someone who is truly committed to something, who is working towards something with everything they have, it awakens something in them. It reminds them that they too are capable of more. But the opposite is also true. A life without direction is a life of quiet desperation. And that desperation spreads. It leads to resentment, to stagnation, to a feeling of hopelessness that drains not just the person experiencing it, but everyone around them. That is the cost of living without purpose. So what do? You decide, right now, you decide that your life is not going to be dictated by chance, that you are not going to wait for motivation or clarity or some perfect opportunity that may never come. You choose something difficult, something worthwhile, and you commit to it. And then you do the hardest thing of all. You follow through, not just when it's exciting, not just when it's easy, but every single day in the moments where no one is watching, in the moments where it would be easier to quit, because that is where purpose is truly built, in the discipline of showing up, in the willingness to endure, in the relentless pursuit of something greater. And if you do that, if you hold on to your vision, if you refuse to back down, if you stay the course even when it feels impossible, then you will not just be moving towards something meaningful, you will become someone meaningful. Someone whose life is not defined by circumstances, but by conviction. Someone who years from now will look back and know without a doubt that they did not waste their time here because they had a vision and they made it real. You can think, you can plan, you can dream, but at some point you have to act. Nothing changes without action. Nothing improves without responsibility. And if you wait, if you sit back hoping that life will hand you what you want, that someone will come along and fix things for you, you will be waiting forever. No one is going to build the life you want for you. That is your job. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you take full responsibility for your existence, the sooner you will start to move forward. People hesitate. They tell themselves they need more time, that they need to feel ready, that they need permission. But hesitation is just fear disguised as logic. And fear will keep you stuck in old patterns, stuck in frustration, stuck in the same place year after year. If you want something to change, you must take responsibility for making that change happen. And responsibility is not a burden. It is a source of strength. Because the moment you take ownership of your life, everything shifts. You stop waiting, you stop blaming, you stop feeling powerless. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how small the first step is. What matters is that you take it. And once you do, once you begin to move forward with the full weight of your responsibility on your shoulders, you realize something. You were always capable. You just had to decide. Life does not simply happen to you. Every day you make choices about how you think, how you act, and what you pursue. You decide whether to feed your mind with thoughts that strengthen you or weaken you. You choose whether to believe in your own worth or surrender to doubt. You determine whether challenges break you or build you, and through it all, you hold the power to shape the direction of your life. No one else can do this for you. No one else can instill discipline in your mind, force gratitude into your heart, or hand you a purpose worth pursuing. That is your responsibility. And it is not a burden, it is the greatest opportunity you have. Because when you commit to growth, when you align yourself with a vision and refuse to back down, something remarkable happens. You become the kind of person who does not merely endure life, but commands it. So stand up, take ownership, be intentional with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Because the life you want will not come from waiting. It will come from your willingness to show up every single day and build it.